Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus. The spirit is so good. I was getting ready to walk out of the door to go and upload some stuff on YouTube. And as I was getting ready to turn that door knob, the spirit hit me and gave me another message. And I was standing there at that door, and the message was so clear to me that I just had to come back in here and set it up and tell you what it is. The world outside of us, whether we are out of it or whether we're in it, the whole world is good stuff and it's bad stuff as we may see it. It is not new. Different situations that you might recognize that could not possibly have been in other times. But nevertheless, these experiences are the same. And back in the day, the reason that Jesus Christ came on the scene, whether Jesus was literally born and came into the world, or if somebody was given a story to write or to tell, and that's how Jesus entered into the scene. The purpose was to let the people know that this world that they are conditioned to, this world that they are familiar with. You know, you come into the world, you hear people talk, you hear people lie, you see this, you see that, it's over there, it's over there. And so this is you. Everything that you see is you. It's almost like a recorder. It's you, it's in you. And at times when you might be put in situations that are similar, you pull up that recording. How did it happen then? And that's what you would end up doing. And what you would end up doing basically is causing friction and confliction with others, because that's basically what's happening in the world. Some things might appear at that moment to be okay, that it plays a major part in something that further on down the road might be a little bit more negative, we don't know. But the world is as it is. And so Jesus wanted the people to know that there's another world. Doesn't necessarily mean that you leave this world, but there is another world. For purposes of lack of understanding, we'll just say it's a spiritual world. Okay? And there they have some basic principles that keeps peace and prosperity, and it makes for joy. And that it requires some simple matters, that we just treat each other like we want to be treated. And Jesus came down to make you familiar with that message, to make you familiar with that reality, by living amongst you and being able to do some things that humankind could never do. You know the story. Make the blind see, the lame to walk, the deaf to hear, the dumb to speak. Woo-wee! No human was able to do that and make it stand. And yet, wherever it was done, there was a physical representation of the reality of it. And nothing that anybody could say or do could change those people who had experienced those miraculous miracles. Nobody could change that. It was real. Moses saw the burning bush. Up until that point, the stories that he was hearing could have been anything. Belief, yeah. But when he saw that happen, that changed his mind. And so he had to respond accordingly to commitment. The same commitment he had with being with that worldly stuff. Now he had to exercise that same commitment, and even more, because this power was stronger than the power that he had subjected himself to. And so here we go. And so when you got people who understand these things, and they see these things, and people like in the world we have today, they basically don't see it. The things that keeps them prisoners still exist. The fact that Martin Luther King and others, Abraham Lincoln and all those Kennedys, those guys who were able to do things to make life a little bit better because they saw something that was different, that met a greater need, but were basically instruments that did not really move you. Some maybe very, very slowly, very slowly, like getting the right to, what? Let's say vote. But in a minute, wherever they can, the powers that caused that problem in the beginning is trying its very best to take you back to that time when your vote has no matter. But see, that's what Jesus was trying to tell you. And when he left here, for those of you who wonder what was left for you, it was for you to know that the freedom, the joy that he was able to exercise, the things that he was able to do, was because of his commitment to that world that he was quite familiar with and we don't know anything about. But promising us, if we want to know, if we want to have that relationship with that world, everything that the story says that he was able to do, you will be able to do, and to do more. But ladies and gentlemen, it means about love. You got to have some love in order to be able to master that template like that. It's not going to be something you can just wish on. It's not something you can just claim on. No, baby. You're going to be real. And you know what makes it? Your heart. The pure in heart shall know the truth. Because that's where God lives. Now, I wanted you to know that. Because those guys who get up in the pulpit and tell you, oh, Jesus, you better believe I am the way. Oh, don't forgive me for doing that. But those people who get up in the pulpit and tell you that Jesus is the way and that you got to be born again, give your soul to God, what the devil does that mean? What the devil does that mean when ever since we've been in this country, we find ourselves going to the polls, voting for the devil? What the heck does all that preaching mean? You going to the polls, voting for the devil? It don't mean a darn thing. It proves one thing, that you don't know a thing about God. You don't know a thing about God. And I'm not fussing at you. Because how could you know? God didn't show you the miracle. And those who profess to have the miracle are either old and dead or still trying to hide behind, I know I'm saved, but are doing nothing but saying you got there, not doing any of the stuff. You see what I'm saying? They're not doing any of the stuff that calls for power, commitment, dedication, sacrifice. They're not doing that. Most of them go to work on a job just like you, trying to make sure they pay their bills and having a God that says, that is not my way. But they go along with it. So how can you know anything about God? Preachers, I'm not trying to put you down. I'm just trying to tell you that you're responding to a teaching. I don't care if you got it out of the Bible, you're responding to a teaching that denies God. Bye-bye.